This is not sponsored. I just really wanted a drink for this one. We're gonna get into a little Q&A of some of the most common questions I get asked about Project Poodles, the team, the project itself, all things characters, all things content. I have a lovely trusty Craig over here. I've noticed in the comment section, a lot of people say that Craig is my dad's voice. It is not, and it does not work Bestie's voice. Craig will be interviewing me for this one. And he's kind of pulled the most common questions or things that I just get asked frequently, whether that's in the comment section or when I meet y'all out in the wild and we chat a little bit about Brenda and all things, you know, Project Poodles.
So to start us off,
yes.
What made you want to introduce characters to your content and create this mini-series / where did the characters come from?
You want to know the origin story of the wigs? I'll tell you. So let me paint the picture. It is a Tuesday evening in LA and I've just gone to an event and it was a late night. And for me, that was probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I had just come back to my accommodations. I was in my creativity mode, but more so on like what color of hair I wanted to dye my hair because I had a salon appointment coming up soon. And I was really, you know, debating with the idea of being blonde, but I'd never been blonde before. So I was like, what would I look like blonde? Thus led me to, oh, maybe I'll just order a couple wigs and I'll see if the color and my complexion go together, you know. And so the evening is young or late, depending how you look at it. And I go online, first mistake, and start looking up wigs. And then the next thing I know, I didn't even have them get delivered. My partner, a package shows up, he opens it, he's like, Laura, why is there a bunch of hair on our front porch? And I said, what? And he said, did you order a bunch of wigs? And I said, you know, I thought I dreamt that because I'm not used to staying up so late. But yes, I did. And I tried the wigs on, decided on a hair color. I don't like to waste things. So I stared at them for a little bit and I said, Brenda, Bethany, Donna Sue. And that was the start of that. I guess how the characters came to be as well. I feel like throughout my time in the corporate world, working in different business spaces, working with different personalities and people, there's a lot of personalities that come up and a lot of different relationships with work, the way that people navigate a professional space. And so I kind of took a lot of the things I've been exposed to, or I've heard through stories that you all have shared, and created characters that have very different personalities but all come together to work in a similar space. But of course, they all have their own approaches to things, their own personalities, their own mannerisms. And each character I just sat with for a bit, you know, thought about, okay, what's their relationship with work? How are they going to conduct themselves? What is going to be their role within the team? The rest, my imagination just ran with. I feel like sometimes I get asked if it's hard for me to come up with episodes or directions of content or scripts. And I feel like hard, no, but just very much a reflection of my brain and what goes on. And when I sit with things, I can just create storylines with them. And obviously I read so many of y'all's comments as well and hear so many stories every single day about people's experiences with work. And so it kind of molds and adapts and shifts over time, the growth that we've seen within the characters. And then anytime a new colleague comes into play, like Linda, I've seen a dime a dozen of Linda personalities. I've seen a ton of Jeremys in the wild as well in the workspace. And so I wanted to kind of bring in the Lindas and the Jeremys to show how they can take good, positive working environments and completely shift things around, and also how much impact they can have on other people and their work experience and how people start to show up for work. And I wanted to kind of create a picture where a lot of people can feel seen within the content or be like, I work with someone like that, or oh my gosh, I'm like that, or I'm like Brenda, I'm like Donna Sue. That was a really long answer to your question.
Certainly was.
Yeah, that was a long story long. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Where do you come up with the scripts for these episodes, and do you write them all yourself?
My brain, yes, I write them all myself. Sometimes what I'll do is oh, hi, sweetie. We're just filming a little video. We know you love veg. I know, but we're gonna play right after this. We're gonna go on a pack walk, all right? So why don't you just sit down here? Can I give this back to you? No, okay, I'm just gonna leave it right here. I come up with them in my brain, and sometimes too what I'll do is I'll look at kind of what's happening in general in the world right now, in the climate, in the workspaces, and if there's a general theme going on or something a lot of you are experiencing, I'll see if I can work that into the content, into the workspace, into the characters. There you go. And then sometimes too, I'll jump on a call with work bestie and I'll be like, all right, so Haley's, getting married, and maybe she invites Donna Sue to the wedding, and Donna Sue is trying to get, Brenda, she's helping support her in whatever way she can, which means encouraging her to take time off. So maybe Donna Sue gets a +1, and maybe Brenda, what do you think about this? And we kind of go back and forth on it. And so that'll help me kind of get into this space of storytelling. But yes, I script everything myself.
Is there a character you relate to most, and do you have a favorite?
I feel like a lot of people assume that I relate to Haley the most, because also people think that my name is Haley and that I am Haley. I would say there's parts of every single character that I can relate to a little bit, and at least in some season of my career, some season of life, I feel like I can connect with all of the core characters, and not so much the Lindas or the Jeremys, but I feel like there's a piece of each character that resonates with me a little bit. And do I have a favorite? I don't know. I don't think I can pick a favorite. I mean, they all have they all have something special about them. And I started this series back in it's been like almost a year and a half or 2 years. And so I feel like I read a lot of the comments and y'all are like, I am so invested in these characters. I am so attached to them. I am so invested in them. I am so attached to them. And so they've all become my favorite. I have a special, place in my heart for each of them. So I can't really pick one. It's been 3 years since my first video of the series. And then there was a little bit of a lull of not making as much. And then I really dove back into it in the last, I'd say like 9 months, 8 months. I don't have necessarily like an overall favorite.
What about a favorite just to act as?
I mean, Donna Sue is fun. You don't mess with Donna Sue. She is Mama Sue for a reason. You don't mess with her team. Bethany has a fun little sass to her, and just like a very blunt, no beat around the bush kind of vibe, which I appreciate. Brenda's seen so much growth, and I feel like the evolution of Brenda is really fun to play. Haley, I feel like I've really seen in her when she goes through really hard times at work and she brings more of that mental health spin. Tracy, hope Tracy's doing okay. Tracy was a lot of fun to play as well, just because I feel like there's something so healing about such a supportive boss and leader within the workplace, and so that brought me a lot of comfort in her character.
Have you found it hard creating noticeably different characters while playing as all of the characters?
I feel like at the beginning, trying to make sure that they all felt individual and unique, and almost that you forgot it was the same person playing everyone, was a little bit challenging. But now I feel like if I'm stepping into Brenda, like I'm stepping into Brenda and I embody Brenda. And if I'm stepping into Haley, I'm stepping into that. Like, I think now I'm like so deeply emotionally attached to these characters that I could just become them.
And playing off that, what is the most challenging aspect of acting out every character?
Oh my gosh, getting Brenda not to blink. Sometimes my eyes are screaming because Brenda doesn't blink, as we all know. And especially when she's really stressed and venting to Donna Sue, she's a really hard time not blinking.
So as you mentioned, you do all the scripting.
Yes.
What is your writing, filming, and editing process like?
Ooh. So I break it up because all in one is just a lot. So I'll have a day of kind of concepting, so writing out different themes for different episodes or direction of content. And then the next time I sit with it, I'll do the full scripting of, let's say, 7, 8 episodes at once. And that'll take me a couple hours. And then I'll revisit it again and make sure that everything looks good, planning out the film schedule, and then I'll sit down and batch film like 7, 8 episodes, whatever I've scripted. And then I hand off to my lovely team member to do the first round of edits at it, more like file organization, get everything in the right order for characters before it's handed back to me to do all the final edits, extracts, uploads, and all of that. It takes a while, especially from like thinking of it creatively to then kind of getting a sense of flow and direction to episodes, and then, like I said, goes into scripting, goes into filming, goes into editing, extract, upload. Like what I just filmed today won't go, the first episode of the one batch I filmed today won't go on, you showing off your little cute booty? Won't go online for like 3 more weeks because that was from the last batch.
Do you read comments on the episodes
Yes.
once you've posted them?
Of course, but you know who reads the comments harder than I do? My mom. Shout out to my mom. She loves reading the comment sections. No, I absolutely do. I think it is so incredible and so fascinating and so fun how much we're all invested in this. And you know, the comment sections on any Project Poodles episode has hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of comments, and it's like we're all going on this journey together, and I absolutely love it. I love reading predictions of what's going to happen next. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, get out of my head. That is what happens next. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea. Like I should build that into the content coming up. Yeah, of course I do.
Do you have any favorite takeaways from the series or funniest moments?
I think one of my favorite takeaways is when Brenda first became Brenda, people did not like her very much. I think she was a bit misunderstood, but also very typical of what you could see in the corporate space of just being very, you know, work is life and not having a lot of boundaries and overstepping a bit. And then the more you get to know her, like you don't mess with Brenda anymore. I think we can all mutually agree that we adore Brenda. Once you start to remove those layers, or I guess add layers really, or strip back, see however you want to word it, but seeing more the human element of someone in a working capacity, then you start to understand why they are the way that they are, and then you start to have a lot more empathy for them, and you can understand her journey. And it's like, of course she acts like that because her mom, and like there's just so much that we've learned about Brenda along the way that I feel like our once, you know, villain, if you want to call her that, has now become kind of the hero of the story and someone that people, you know, ride or die for. And that's been really, really nice to see. There's a little bit of Brenda in all of us, I think. She's still finding who she is, and she's understanding that work's not her entire identity, and understanding that the truths that she's held about herself because of, you know, outside noise aren't necessarily the truths that are her reality, and kind of unlearning a lot of that has caused a lot of growth for her. And that's a fun one for me.
Why did you bring Linda in, and when is Tracy coming back?
I don't know when Tracy's coming back. I think there's often times in your career where someone that you work with that you quite enjoy, you show up to work one day, they're no longer there for whatever reason, and you don't always get an explanation, and you don't always get a timeline, you don't always get to stay in the loop on things, and that is a very relatable thing that many of us have gone through. And so I don't have a timeline on Tracy. No one's notified me of that yet. Tracy was such a good supportive leader, and she demonstrated a lot of qualities, and you could see the impacts that she had on her team. And sometimes when good people leave, move on, go on leave, whatever, you don't necessarily get the same replacement. And a lot of times in higher management positions, you might see a lot of behaviors that Linda has displayed. And I think there's many people that can look at a Linda and say, I've worked with someone like this, or I've seen someone within the space I work be like this. It's just, I feel like it's just the reality sometimes. It's not like it's not something that I necessarily would want to do, you know, replace a Tracy with a Linda, but it's just very true to things can change so quickly in a work environment, and so much of it is out of your control, and we don't get to pick the people we work with oftentimes. And nepotism.
So last question here. Mm-hmm. What's next for Project Poodles, and will the project ever finish?
I don't know. Do corporate projects ever finish, or did the timelines just keep getting pushed, or new phases or iterations keep coming of the project? That's the real question here. What's next for Project Poodles? I mean, it's not going anywhere. I feel like we've got a few lifers on this team who are going to be at the company for a while, and always, you know, potential for newcomers to pass through. I guess we'll have to just wait and see. But I'm excited. I feel like I don't feel like, I know 2025 is the year of Brenda, so I think there's going to be a lot of growth for Brenda this year. I think maybe she's going to start traveling a little bit. I think Donna Sue is going to continue to be that mentor. I think we're just all going to go on this adventure together and see where it takes us. Yeah, Project Poodles 2025 is going to be, it's going to be a good one. It's been rough for a while, but it's looking up. Those are all the questions. All right, if there's anything else that I haven't touched on in here that you're curious about Project Poodles, Brenda, Donna Sue, Haley, Ned, we didn't even get much into Ned, drop them in the comments and maybe we'll do a part 2 of this, perhaps. But I just wanted to say I'm so appreciative, I'm so grateful for all of your support with this series. It truly makes the biggest impact to me. Every time an episode goes live, I mean, my team and my partner can attest to this too. I'll be like, come read the comment section. Did you read this? Like, we'll jump on Teams calls to be like, oh my gosh, did you read the comments from this? You know, everyone's thinking it's gonna go this way and people are loving blah, blah, blah. You watching, you supporting, you showing up, you being so invested in these characters means the world to me. I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm so appreciative of you watching, supporting my content and loving Project Poodles team as much as I do. I hope this was somewhat interesting. I hope you laughed. I hope you learned something new. I hope you got a little behind the scenes of what happens in the Project Poodles world out here. So I'll leave you here. Work besties. Thank you for being here. I'm so appreciative. And toodaloo for now. Just gotta get my hair. I don't like to both cap because I don't know. I just don't like it. It's very compressing to my noggin. Give me a minute, please. I need to couldn't forget that. Happy as a clam at high tide. So I was doing this paid campaign, a little commercial with a company, and I sent them the content, and they go on responding, your hair's looking a little flat. And I said, all right, I'll head to the salon, say less. Can't watch me become Warm regards. You should probably ask people before you start recording them. It's weird.